Hi, this is Andy Hoffman of CryptoGoldCentral.com and the World Crypto Network with another crypto audio blog this morning titled All That Matters in Cryptocurrency. Now, let's face it, there's no asset on the planet now or ever that trades like or has traded like Bitcoin, aside from altcoins, of course, which trade like Bitcoin on steroids. Thus, it makes no sense to rationalize the violence of its moves in terms of traditional financial analysis, be it technical, fundamental, or sentimental. The reason being that no matter how big the market appears to be, it is still incredibly thin, with just 17 million Bitcoin outstanding, of which 3 to 5 million are permanently lost, and at least that amount are held in cold storage. Thus, just 7 to 11 million units trade freely of a $100 billion asset that trades 24/7, offering the potential to change the status quo for billions of people. Consequently, its surges and plunges are legendary in terms of scope, speed, and volatility. In my wildest dreams, when a year ago the price was $2,500 and the scaling wars were violently raging, I couldn't have imagined rising to $20,000 by year end. Conversely, if you told me then that 6 months later, the Bitcoin hash rate would be at an all-time high, SegWit would be deployed on half the Bitcoin network, Bcash would be completely marginalized as a threat, the US government would rule Ethereum to not be a security, the Mt. Gox trustee would stop selling, and cumulatively, altcoins would be exposed for the frauds 95% of them are, I couldn't have dreamed we'd be back to $6,000. Then again, at today's price, down 70% from the December high, Bitcoin's price decline is roughly in line with the 76% average of the prior 3 declines over the past 5 years. The human mind is very good at rationalizing bad situations, as it needs to be as part of its survival instinct. It's what has gotten me through far worse financial times than these, with my net worth far less than today, and the reasons for financial losses rooted far more in fundamentals. Like, for instance, owning and working for mining companies teetering on the brink of bankruptcy, both base and precious metals. And heck, working at a bullion company whose sales relentlessly declined, yielding increasingly negative feedback from a management team whose own financial survival was at stake. In each case, the fear was far more intense, as the odds of failure were far higher. And in each case, I ultimately survived the situation by calculating such odds and acting accordingly. In the case of miners, I sold some when they started declining in 2007, and the rest when I deemed them too dangerous to hold at all in 2011. Moreover, I left the mining industry permanently in 2011 in lieu of the far safer bullion industry, which, when I saw the aforementioned writing on the wall, as slowly but surely the Bitcoin story improved at bullion's expense, I switched my personal investments from bullion to Bitcoin and ultimately left the bullion industry. The profits from being an early Bitcoin adopter give me a tremendous amount of staying power to handle the horrible price of $6,000, which as recently as last July was but a pipe dream that was first reached in October. Yes, it sucks losing so much money so quickly, but in reality, we are way ahead of where we were a year ago, let alone 2, with the bubble-like gains coming and going in just 6 months' time. For those saying I should have sold, consider how hard it was to acquire a position during the bull market in terms of the time, commissions, and fear of losing your money when you dealt with networks that were slowing down and exchanges with operational issues. Also, the tax burden you would have paid and the regret you might have had you sold your house money, only to see the asset you purchased as a long-term investment rise further and become more difficult to purchase, which inevitably it will. Not to mention the mental blood, sweat, and tears you shed in hodling through real FUD events, like the repeated Chinese bans, the scaling debate, a half dozen terrifying, demoralizing Bcash attacks, the SEC ETF disapproval, Bitfinex hack, BTC exchange seizure, and Jamie Dimon Tulip Mania comments, to name but a few. And while the decline from 20,000 to 6,000 has been horrifying, Bitcoin is still a $100 billion asset, which all but a handful of stocks have never been able to achieve, let alone in just 9 years' time. Heck, Amazon.com took 14 years to reach a $100 billion market capitalization and 19 to reach Bitcoin's pre-crash level of $335 billion. All that said, what matters most now, aside from your personal financial situation, is the fundamentals going forward. and valuation if there was any real way to value Bitcoin's current net worth and future outlook. To me, it's pretty simple, as the same things I considered 2.5 years ago when Bitcoin was $400 are what I consider most prominently today, with the added benefit that since then, these fundamental attributes have dramatically improved. And conversely, the added caveat that its valuation has dramatically increased too, which are Bitcoin's potential use cases and security. Regarding the former, I bought Bitcoin in 2016 because I believed it could challenge gold as the world's premier wealth storage asset, and in a best case scenario, become a cornerstone of future monetary regimes. Since then, the outlook for both use case possibilities has significantly improved, whilst its competition, i.e. gold and fiat currencies, have steadily declined. And as for the latter, the Bitcoin network has never been stronger, more secure, or more decentralized. So check that box too. And now that the altcoins have been exposed as a whole for having neither competition from within the cryptocurrency community, which 2.5 years ago was non-existent, has essentially been destroyed within a year's time too. Yes, there will be altcoin success stories over time. And yes, a rising Bitcoin boat will float the valuations of many altcoins with no success stories at all. But in the big picture, the way I see it, Bitcoin's future has never been brighter, both absolutely and relative to all its competition. So for those worried that Bitcoin will die because it fell back to the $100 billion valuation it first breached just 8 months ago, think long and hard of why you own it, and in your view, if its use case propositions and security remain intact. Thanks and have a great crypto day.